10 years. 10 years since Troy was ravaged. The city, with its colossal walls, considered by everyone to be invincible, was reduced to ruins. King Priam was slain, and with him his sons, the valiant Hector and the ardent Paris, along with all the Trojan princes and soldiers, and all Troy's women, children, and old men. All slain, without mercy, and all left without burial. The Greeks, thirsty for vengeance after a 10-year siege, upheld the pledge made by their king, Agamemnon, to leave not a single stone standing in Troy, and not a single Trojan survivor. Agamemnon, Menelaus, Ulysses, the Greek heroes who survived the Trojan War have been back at sea for a long time. But where are they now? Zeus observes the mortals from atop Olympus. The Trojan War has profoundly changed them. Greek heroes who once feared the almighty gods, making sacrifices to them and giving them thanks, now behave as if they themselves are gods. Victory has intoxicated them, transformed them much more deeply than anyone could have ever imagined. Look at Agamemnon. King of kings, he calls himself. King of Mycenae, he conquered all the Greek cities before ordering them to march on Troy, which within a few years he reduced to ashes. He now reigns over all the known world, and he thinks he's more than a king. His brother, the wild beast Menelaus, has accused him of pride and excess, the most serious of all sins. But Menelaus himself, husband of the beautiful and unfaithful Helen, conqueror of the Trojans, has become intoxicated with his own power and military victories. He forgets that it is the gods who decided the outcome of this war. And it is precisely this decision which now sows discord among the gods. Because Olympus, where Zeus reigns supreme, is in disarray and almost empty. The gods who supported the Trojans during the war accuse Zeus of having unfairly favored the Greeks, causing their side to lose. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, Apollo, the god of light, and Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, are all gone. Since the fall of Troy, none have deigned to reappear on Olympus. No one knows where they are. For 10 long years, it seems the world has been deprived of their benefits. Love, light, and even hunting have been sorely lacking among mortals. Another god, and no minor deity, has deserted Olympus. Ares, the god of war. In the final hours of the Trojan War, Ares was violently opposed to Athena, goddess of warfare, but also of wisdom. Wounded by his half-sister, harshly lectured by his father, Ares swore that he would reappear on Olympus only when Zeus did him justice by punishing Athena. In the meantime, he strikes mortals with his darts and spreads war wherever he goes. But another deity is missing alongside Zeus, his wife, the divine Hera. Zeus has banished her. He holds her responsible for the discord that divides the gods of Olympus. He is not ready to forgive her for the many conspiracies she instigated. Zeus has locked Hera in her apartments and forbidden her to attend his council. And that's not all. Poseidon and Hades, the brothers of Zeus, are challenging his authority. Poseidon, the shadowy and eternal plotter, never leaves his palace beneath the sea. Hades, guardian of the kingdom of the dead, came to sacred Olympus to challenge Zeus. In the aftermath of the slaughter in Troy, the underworld he reigns over is more populated than the realm of the living, ruled over by Zeus. As a result, the mighty Hades now boasts even greater power than Zeus, and he demands to be elevated to the same status. His wife, the formidable Persephone, supports his claims, as does Demeter, sister of Zeus and mother of Persephone, who was always quick to take her daughter's side. Meanwhile, Hephaestus, the lame one, lives as a misanthropist, preferring the burning forges of his island of Lemnos to the sometimes bitter sweetness of Olympus. Beside the god of gods, there remains only his daughter Athena and his more recent son, Hermes. For many years, Athena has had but one conviction. If mortal men now regard themselves as gods, there is one that should be watched over all others, and maybe even helped. That man is Ulysses, the king of Ithaca, who is struggling to return to his island and rejoin his family. Ithaca, the kingdom of Ulysses. The old man crossing the palace courtyard is Mentor, the former tutor of young Telemachus, Ulysses' son. Mentor goes to the great hall where the king used to hold his banquets. Men are feasting. Near the fire, a woman is weaving a shroud. She is no longer very young. Her face expressionless, she seems to hear nothing of the cries and bursts of laughter echoing around her. This is Penelope, wife of Ulysses and mother of Telemachus. For many years, Penelope has been plagued by a host of suitors, young men of high nobility, all former subjects of her husband, Ulysses. All are convinced that Ulysses will never return. He left almost 20 years ago, and the Trojan War ended nearly 10 years ago. It is time for Penelope to choose a new husband. The suitors are burning to be in her bed, lying beside her, and thus to reign over the islands that make up the beautiful kingdom of Ithaca. Arrogant, pretentious, bursting with pride and violence, they urge Penelope to choose one of them. Meanwhile, they devour Ulysses' possessions. Mentor goes straight to Telemachus, the son of Ulysses. The newborn baby the king abandoned to fight the Trojans is now a handsome young man of 20 years. He has not seen Mentor, the man who taught him all he knows, in a very long time. But the old man has some harsh words for him. Telemachus must gather himself. His honor and the destiny of the kingdom are at stake. He must leave his childhood behind and take decisive action. Now is the time for courage. Telemachus must find his father as soon as possible. There is a man who can help him in his quest. Menelaus, king of Sparta, who fought alongside Ulysses in Troy. Menelaus is the last of the Greeks fortunate enough to have returned home. Battered and bruised, but alive. He will be able to tell them what has become of his father and know whether he is alive or dead. If Ulysses came to a sad end, Menelaus either saw it himself or has heard an eyewitness account. Reinvigorated by the words of his former tutor, Telemachus strides toward the suitors. They all stare. For so long this young man has been cowed, content to bemoan his fate and mourn his father's absence. Here, he suddenly announces in a firm voice that he will go in search of Ulysses. If he learns that his father has perished, then he will bow to their demands. He will return to his native land to erect a monument to him, honor him by performing the funeral rites, and give his mother a husband and a new king for Ithaca. But if he discovers that Ulysses is not dead, then the suitors must prepare for his revenge, sooner or later. Telemachus's words are met with sneers and sarcasm. Antinous, the apparent leader of Penelope's suitors, walks towards the young man. He invites him to join them and take part in the feast. But Telemachus pushes him back brusquely. Immediately, the threats pour forth. The suitors forbid the son of Ulysses to take to the sea and sail far from Ithaca. Telemachus leaves the room with a rage in his belly. It is not yet time to enter the fray. Mentor is anxious to reassure him. He has taken it upon himself to charter a ship and find a crew of volunteers among the men who remain faithful to the memory of Ulysses. They will set sail tomorrow at dawn. That night, in the sleeping palace, while Telemachus dreams of the voyage promised by Mentor, dark thoughts consume Penelope. Exhausted by her tears and worries, she cannot sleep a wink. She has already lost a husband. If Telemachus leaves her now, she will lose a son as well. The first rays of dawn light up the port. The ship promised by Mentor is here. Telemachus is eager to express his gratitude. He seeks him out, but the clock is ticking. He climbs aboard. Beneath the clothes of old Mentor lurks the goddess Athena, determined to protect the son of Ulysses. Telemachus reaches Sparta to find a double wedding being celebrated for one of the children of King Menelaus, whose son and daughter are being married. Like all guests preparing to meet the king, Telemachus is welcomed and bathed before being scented and draped in a sumptuous tunic and led to Menelaus. But the king is sad, and when Telemachus reveals to him who he is, his sadness intensifies. Since his return home, not a night has gone by without dreams of that endless war invading his sleep. Telemachus implores Menelaus, The gods have ensured that the fate of his father Ulysses has remained shrouded in secrecy. No one can say if or how he died, be it on land at the hands of criminals or on the seas in the kingdom of Poseidon. This is what brings him. He has voyaged here in the hope that all will be revealed. Then, the wild beast Menelaus, the great Greek warrior, begins to speak, describing the Trojan War. He tells him how, behind the walls of Priam's city, the best of them fell. Achilles, Patroclus, Ajax, Antilochus, and thousands of others. Above all, Menelaus tells Telemachus how the Greeks looted Troy and massacred its women and children. On that day, he confesses, feverish from the 10-year siege, they would listen to neither reason nor justice, which is why the wrath of Zeus fell upon the Greeks. The god of gods ensured a disastrous return for them all. Menelaus and his men left the shores of Troy filled with bitterness. The conquest of the city with the high walls did not deliver on its promise. The riches attributed to Troy did not exist. No treasure, nothing but death and ruins. So Menelaus resolved to get rich in other places before returning to Sparta, his homeland. Leading his ships, he sailed the seas, amassing gold and silver, venturing into Egypt through the river delta leading into an unknown island. With no wind blowing, he could sail no further. The island was a parched land, without food or water. Just as they thought their end had come, a marine deity appeared to them. Her name was Eidothea, and she took pity on them. She told them that none but her father could tell them how to get back to Sparta. His name was Proteus, an immortal, the son of Poseidon, god of the seas, and keeper of all marine animals and other creatures of the abyss. But Menelaus was warned that he would have to seize him by cunning. For Proteus would always appear covered in thick fog, just as the sun reaches the middle of the sky. Most of all, he had the power to assume any form he wished. Every day, he came to languish in the hollow of the caves, surrounded by seals, exhaling the acrid odor of the depths. Tomorrow, he would be there. The next day, Menelaus and his men lay in wait for the god Proteus. As soon as he emerged from the waters, they pounced on him. Proteus struggled. To escape his attackers, he turned into a lion, then into a pig, and again into a leopard. But the powerful Menelaus, helped by his companions, managed to subdue him. And Proteus was forced to surrender. He agreed to answer Menelaus's questions. How could he escape the island that held him prisoner? Asked the king of Sparta. Proteus answered that Menelaus was a prisoner of this island because in his excess he had forgotten to offer a sacrifice to Zeus, neglecting his greatness and his power. Terrified, Menelaus vowed that he would make amends for the insult, that in his recklessness he had visited upon Zeus. He would repent and organize a gigantic slaughter for the master of Olympus, provided the latter let him return to Sparta safe and sound. He then asked the god Proteus another question. Had the Greeks who left Troy at the same time as him perished or survived? Proteus's reply was unequivocal. One of them had died, while the other was a captive of the vast sea. Telemachus interrupts Menelaus. He was dying to ask, Who? Who was dead? Menelaus resumes his story. Proteus, he says, uttered a name. Agamemnon. Agamemnon had perished. Agamemnon, the king of kings, behaved like a child who believed he had to be obeyed. But the Eternals are not so easily influenced, and the gods chastised him for his excesses. At home in his palace, on the day of his return, the great Agamemnon perished. A trap had been laid for him by the man who had treacherously climbed into the bed of his wife, Queen Clytemnestra. That man was Odysseus, cousin of Agamemnon and Menelaus. While Agamemnon and the Greeks were besieging Troy, Odysseus was quietly besieging Agamemnon's wife. Queen Clytemnestra initially refused the heinous act. But the grip of destiny was such that she finally surrendered to the assaults from Odysseus, driven less by love than by a desire for revenge on Agamemnon. Ever since the day Agamemnon agreed to sacrifice their daughter Iphigenia to obtain favorable winds for his military expedition to Troy, the hatred and bitterness that burned so fiercely within Clytemnestra could not be extinguished. When Agamemnon returned to Mycenae, unaware of the betrayal, Odysseus and Clytemnestra welcomed him with open arms. They made sacrifices to the gods, organized a sumptuous banquet, then, in the middle of a meal, slaughtered him. None of the companions who had followed him survived. All were slaughtered on the spot, including the girl he had brought back as a slave, Cassandra, the youngest daughter of King Priam. It was a sad end for the man who aspired to reign over all men. Nothing was lost in Telemachus in the telling of Menelaus' story. But if Agamemnon was dead, then the one who remained captive of the vast sea could only be his father. Ulysses, then, is not dead. He is captive of the vast sea. But for how much longer? And where? Which powerful entities were opposing his return? And for what reason?